no hate allowed, all love. From happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas and happy holidays to anybody out there. And I know, guys, as I start this show, and we'll get into all the great stuff leading to your sports weekend, start the show at the time of year where not everybody is happy for reasons that maybe they lost someone, maybe they're going through struggles financially. Be kind. Maybe it's a reminder of something that happened in their past. So in all of our travels, and I know it's the day before Christmas, but through the rest of the new year, and I know it sounds a little cheesy, and I know we all preach it, trying to live it sometimes is hard to do because we all judge stuff and we all complain and want to have more money, more abundance, more health, more opportunity to travel, all that. But I'm trying to learn to play where my feet are and not chase and make sure I'm chasing those things that I mentioned in a video earlier this week. But I'm chasing those things that money can't buy, great friends, teammates on shows like this, reminders that we all have during Christmas holidays. Hopefully for most of us, it's a time to reflect and time to give and not take. And I think as the older you get, the more you realize that the joy you see. And Segs has got his kids and seeing them happy. And when your kids come back and you either have grandkids or you have grown-up kids that have their own kids or family, just a reminder. And so I guess I just say to start that not everybody's feeling maybe the way I am or Segs is or you are, and the joy that's going on. And it reminds me of what I saw yesterday on social media. And like I said, we all have something in this holiday season either going good or something that reminds us or something we want to fix, and all those things going into the new year that you guys will reflect on. But Ben Sasse is and I think that's how it's pronounced, the congressman. And I think a lot of you probably saw it. And I quote tweeted and put it out there. And I'm not going to go over his whole read. If you get a chance, SASSE, he's a former congressman. Go in there and read what he said. Got kids, got a wife, over 30 plus years. Remove the politics from it, how you feel about all the stuff that's going on, regardless of where you sit, and just read what he had to say. And it actually choked me up yesterday because at this time of year, one of my greatest memories was taking in a homeless man on Christmas Day, which would be tomorrow. Segs, you know all about that. You met him. Is my guy Russell Brissett. And I thought I was compassionate, and I'm not going to get into that story now. It's for another day. But this Christmas, while it always reminds me of kids and family, it also reminds me of driving home from Dallas to Houston and driving by a man walking down the interstate. And I drove by him about 10, 12 miles, like in the Corsicana area on Highway 845 headed south. I wasn't with my kids because I was with them the night before, and their mother and I had been divorced, and she had them on Christmas morning, and I get it. But I was feeling sorry for myself driving home. To make a long story short, I went by, something kept prompting me to turn back around. You guys call it what you call it. I call it the Holy Ghost or the Spirit, whatever, that says go back and pick him up or stop and give him something. It was Christmas Day. And I was going through a rock bottom time in my life, trying to get out of it at that time. I'd started my way out of it and digging my way out of it. And so I was immersed in myself and selfish. And I really was. And selfish to the point of, I'm not with my kids. I pouted, man, what a bummer. It's Christmas Day. And I remember the day vividly, the weather, everything, like the story came back 100%. And it prompted me. I was in the fast lane. So about 10 miles down, I couldn't stop, go back and do something for him. I turn around. I pull up as I go back and I see him, and I'm driving back towards Dallas thinking, somebody please pick him up. I didn't want to do it. I was pouting and feeling sorry for myself because my time was bad. Well, I went by and I looked over on the other side of the freeway, and he was still walking, duffel bag, walking uphill, wind blowing. It was about 50 some degrees on that day in 2014 Christmas Day. And so I came back, pulled up, rolled down my window and had some money in my fingertips, said, hey man, just want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and I hope this helps. And it was a $100 bill. And the only reason I say that is I didn't really have extra money to give at that time, but I did. And it's not a pat on the back for me. The whole story is that I gave it to him and I pulled it back and I said, where are you going? He told me. I got him back and I said, hop in, I'll drive you there. And as I'm driving there, we got into a story. He'd been homeless. He'd recovering from drugs, had about 5 teeth in his head. And meaning family, brothers and sisters, they had not been estranged, and his daughter estranged. And so he didn't have family. and he was headed to go to warmer weather. He'd walked from Missouri and hitchhiked. And so I got him in, and to get to the end of the story, by the time we drove a couple more hours to drop him off where he was headed, I brought him to my home, and he lived with me 2 years after. And while, people say, and it's not a pat on the back for me, the point of this is I was going through a miserable, tough time in my life, and I immersed myself into him, and I didn't want to. Well, 2 years later, he lives with me, reconciles with his family, gets a job back home. We became great friends. He stayed in my home and lived with me for 2 years. And we got him all new teeth and all those things. But the moral of the story was I thought I was compassionate. I didn't change his life. Maybe there was a little bit of an impact. I hope there was, because we still stay in contact, not as often as we should, but stay in contact as a friendship. And you want to help somebody. And it wasn't for any story value. I needed it more than he did. And he was homeless. And I was living in an apartment, and he stayed with me and became great friends. And the moral for the story for me was, on this Christmas day, I don't have my mom or dad anymore, but still, Russell made an impact on me, because I now realize what compassion is, that even though I thought I wasn't. His impact on me is far greater than any impact I had on him. And so I'm grateful for that. It reminds me of this congressman who wrote the story yesterday. So as cheesy it may sound on a day before Christmas, I really don't care, because we're trying to be a truck, not a trailer, and help people along instead of being pulled along. And sometimes we need pulled along, and I did. This Ben says, he wrote a tweet. He's got pancreatic cancer stage 4, and he's dying. And he said, "This is a death sentence. I'm going to die." And then he went on to talk about his family, and his attitude towards this shifted my paradigms again around Christmas, thinking, here's a man who knows the death sentence, praying for miracles. He wasn't giving up. It was so upbeat that if you read it, you're like, I got to be like him. At some point in our life, you hope you get more time. We're going to have that come to Jesus moment. His response to what's more than likely inevitable, and hope we pray for miracles, and I'm sure he does too, is how his kids and his family now are going to view this Christmas moving forward. So his legacy may be work, congressman, made a difference in a lot. But for that family, I'm assuming, because I'm looking at it from my vantage point, if I was a member of his family, that on this road that he's trying to recover and may not, what he's left behind for his kids and his family, and for all of us to take a step back and say, man, I thought I had it bad. The money's not as big this Christmas. There's not as many gifts. I don't get to see my kids because they're engaged in, one of them is going to spend time with their guy or their wife, or their future wife. And it led me to perspective. I think we're around to do it. I don't know if he's going to be around a year from now or 10 years from now, and neither does he. But the message is, at this time of year, if we can all put the differences aside, but not just for this time of year, carrying into 2026, I'm going to work harder on not allowing anybody to shrink my feelings for other people and shrink who I am to change for somebody who may not have the same beliefs we do on just being there for somebody else. Because in the end, the money will get spent, the awards will go away, pass them down, but we'll never, ever forget how we felt at certain times. And I'm so grateful for Russell, and I'm so grateful for this congressman who shared an example when most of us will be panicked and scared to death, because I'm not ready to face that. And the example he set for us.
For sure.
If you can, take time. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, and whatever religion you are or politics you are, it doesn't matter. There's a human being that in some way, some of you may be going through the same thing that we haven't seen on social media. But remember, when somebody's frustrated or going through something, or a kid's crying and you don't know why on a plane or a bus and there's traffic, that maybe, just maybe, that time was for you to ponder, because something ahead will be better because somebody else made a difference for you. So I always say this: immerse yourself into somebody else when trouble's going on in your life, and I assure you the benefits are far greater than any dollar amount you'll ever earn. So Merry Christmas, and I hope that we can kind of do that throughout this, man.
Yes.
11/11 hits right now, so make a wish. My wish is for happiness, peace, and a phenomenal, epic 2026. And for those that are struggling, thanks for your example for those of us who take those things at times for granted and sure don't want to.